Oh no. Oh no. This apparent movie's existence was brought to my attention by one Gorgonite courier on Twitter. I retweeted it and I'm like, there's no way this can be real. There's no way they're making this. And, well, he was helpful enough to link the IMDb article below. So, at first I was like... Then I'm like, okay. What if these guys worked on? Maybe it's promising, even though Ben Hoskins has died and there's really no reason for this movie to exist at all. Because Who Framed Roger Rabbit is just one of those movies that is perfect just the way it is and doesn't need a sequel or reimagining or reboot or any of that garbage. It's the unfortunate truth. This movie will probably be bad. And putting aside the fact that it's almost been 40 years since the original. Putting aside the fact that this is a Disney sequel and they don't have good track records in general, this was greenlit by Disney. And the Disney of today is different than the Disney in 1988. Who Framed Roger Rabbit has a very, very specific aesthetic. And I don't believe the Disney of today will replicate that aesthetic. It's got raunchy humor. It's got 2D mixed with live action. I don't even think Disney has a 2D animation department anymore. And they've been bitten by... Can you guess which bug? Right in the butt? Oh yeah. I have a very strong suspicion that the sequel could potentially be entirely in live action or have digital animation to make it appear live action, which honestly sounds kind of terrifying. I really honestly hope that Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2 doesn't go the live action route, or at least fully live action, because best case scenario would probably maybe be like Beauty and the Beast almost. I thought set pieces in there were cool, but the worst case scenario would probably be something like the new Cats movie. And now I'm going to move on because if I think about it too long, I will get nightmares. A happy medium for me would probably be, Roger and his friends look exactly the same, but they're just, in a CGI makeover, right? 3D CGI, that kind of a thing. And that would be okay, I suppose. Disney has made some good computer animated stuff. Like, I think Frozen was pretty good. Moana was okay. But I'm not sure if they have the chops to make a CGI movie without making it super hyper realistic, which is kind of worrying. Not only is the 2D animation concerning, the atmosphere is as well. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it had kind of like this noir feel to it almost. They had black and white flashbacks, that kind of a thing. And, they also had some adult stuff in there. There was a lot of adult jokes. There was, smoking. There was drinking in there. There was very dreary cities. And I just can't picture Disney ever signing off on something like that anymore. I mean, when was the last time they released a noir-esque film? I honestly can't remember. It's just... They're probably going to make it kid-friendly. I have no doubt in my mind about that, because Disney is now very, very family-friendly. Protect all the little children, even though the previous generation were also kids and watched stuff like The Black Cauldron or Hunchback Notre Dame, etc., etc. And I read the article underneath, and, you know, they wanted a digital Hoskins, and I'm like, okay. It also, the director really wants it made, and I unfortunately do not want this movie to be made, because this is present day Disney we're talking about, excluding all that PC stuff and whatnot. It's just, Disney is not the same company it was in the 80s or 90s. It just isn't. Well, there is still some speculation as to whether this is actually going to get made. I mean, on the IMDb article, it says it's in pre-production. I can honestly say, I truly hope this does not get made, because it will probably be really bad if it did get made. I also have a very, very strong suspicion that Jessica Rabbit will get censored in some form or another. You know, maybe they just cover up her cleavage, but unfortunately she has a lot of the criteria that needs to be met in order to be up on Hollywood's chopping block for censorship. She's a wife, for starters. She is very tall, very stylized, has an hourglass figure. She has red hair. She is very voluptuous and sexy. And, you know, that just isn't really allowed to exist in Hollywood anymore, it seems like. Honestly, when was the last time Disney ever created or used a character like Jessica Rabbit? I think that would probably be Jessica Rabbit herself. Esmeralda, and yeah, I could count that. Now, also, why did I mention the fact that Jessica Rabbit has red hair? Well, Hollywood seems to have a strange vendetta against redheads. I know, it sounds completely crazy, right? I mean, how can Hollywood have a vendetta against people with a certain hair color? Well, I mean, especially when it comes to Warner Brothers and Disney, it seems like they're happy replacing redheads or killing them off. It's very weird. I mean, here's some examples. So, considering all this stuff, including the interesting trend of replacing redheads, I would not be surprised at all if Jessica Rabbit's look isn't altered in any way. In fact, I would probably be more shocked if she remained exactly as she was in the 1988 original. In conclusion, this is one Disney sequel I really, really don't want made, because Disney simply cannot replicate the aesthetic that was present in the 1988 original, because they're just not the same company anymore. Please, Disney, I'm begging you, please don't have this happen.